a major case playing out in front of the Supreme Court justices today, weighing President Trump's challenge to birthright citizenship. The president himself at one point was inside of that court as the arguments played out. Let's get out to NewsNation's Brooke Schaefer, who has been listening in all morning long. So, Brooke, lay out today's arguments.
Okay, Nichole, so all of this just wrapped up after a couple of hours of really that back and forth, that questioning inside the Supreme Court. And you mentioned President Trump was sitting inside the gallery for about an hour of those oral arguments. We cannot overstate how unprecedented that is, that it's the first time that a sitting U.S. president has listened to oral arguments inside the Supreme Court. And of course, these arguments surround a key piece of the president's immigration agenda. So again, for those couple of hours, the justices really asked questions and sort of grilled the Solicitor General about the Trump administration's interpretation of the 14th Amendment surrounding birthright citizenship. The administration did face a little bit of skepticism from both conservative and liberal justices inside. Here's some of the back and forth that happened this morning.
I think it's, I'd quote what Justice Scalia said in his Hamdan dissent, where their interpretation has these implications that could not possibly have been approved by the 19th century framers of this amendment. I think that shows that they've made a mess. Their interpretation has made a mess of the provision.
Well, it certainly wasn't a problem in the 19th century.
No, but of course, we're in a new world now, as Justice Alito pointed out, too, where 8 billion people are one plane ride away from having a child who's a U.S. citizen.
Well, it's a new world. It's the same Constitution.
You're suggesting that the emphasis on domicile was not a part of the rule, meaning he wasn't saying you had to be like a foreigner who is doing everything they can and who can't be naturalized. But he might have emphasized those facts in this case precisely because Chinese immigrants were unwanted, precisely because he had to get this out into the public, and people were going to say, whoa, you're saying these people have to, this baby has to be a citizen? And so one could imagine that it was important from a standpoint of helping people accept this citizen rule under these circumstances to emphasize that these particular people in this case were in Justice Alito's first category.
I think that is very possible, Justice Jackson.
So the arguments today, they stem from President Trump's day one executive order restricting birthright citizenship. The president, he's argued that babies born to people in the U.S. illegally or temporarily should not automatically become U.S. citizens. With these oral arguments wrapped now, the justices will now consider whether that is constitutional. But that has faced a lot of criticism, Nichole, including from groups who have been outside the court all morning. The plaintiffs in this case, they argue that the citizenship of millions could be called into question. And I spoke moments ago with a member of the ACLU who told me this is about human beings. They argue that anyone born in the United States is an American citizen. And of course, a very consequential day. A lot of eyes on the Supreme Court today. Oral arguments, again, have now wrapped. The justices will now consider whether or not the president's executive order is constitutional. They're expected to make that decision by the summer. Nichole?
All right. Brooke Schaefer live for us there outside of the Supreme Court in Washington. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.